Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about some important highlights from the state of the game. This is not the overall. If you want to watch a video that has everything, I would recommend Jetfort's channel. He's done a wonderful job in telling you every single thing that I think happened in the state of the game. But in this video, I'm going to speak about things that are more important to me and to the conversations that we've been having lately. I'm going to leave a link in the comments below or in the description so that you guys can just click there and go to that state of the game. It gives you a very wonderful highlights. It doesn't waste your time at all. Now, in terms of some of the things that I felt was important, one of the things you guys noted in my analysis video yesterday was that was the honey badger. You guys were absolutely correct, and it is coming as a weapon. So Yannick, confirmed it, but you guys were on the money. I noticed it was a different weapon, but I couldn't tell what it was. So y'all are the experts, and I'm here to learn. In terms of the specialization tree and what's going to be coming across, this, in my opinion, is something that, as many of you have been watching this channel for a long time, many of you have watched this channel for, years, some even months. In one of my videos, when the gunner specialization was released, if you guys remember this particular video, 14-minute video, I streamed it in a sense, and many of you were talking and, responding to how I'd spoken about a shield specialization, because I felt like that was something that was necessary at the time of the release of the gunner specialization. So if anybody is more happy in this world that they've brought a specialization that actually highlights the entire shield, it's me. I am absolutely stoked about this. I don't know how the community is going to work with something like this, but even though I'm not a big fan of the flamethrower, I mean, I never cared for it, but something that enhances your shield to me has always been something that works in the Division 2. So imagine you taking your weapons, your favorite weapons, favorite builds, and going out there with, this, I can't remember the name of the shield. It has some weird name on it. And, this kind of gives you, that extra buff, extra protection as a tank. And for those of you who were D3 players, you remember how it is. You were working your job, keeping the team protected, being in the front lines. And I think this is something that's going to come in very handy for a lot of, differentiation and play styles when it comes to, things that we already have existing in the game and perhaps things that are coming in the game. Now, right now, I can't think of too much of the application outside of Coney Island when you're fighting against cleaners, but there will definitely be all kinds of fun stuff that you can do with different enemy types, chungas, all that stuff. You can light them in flames. I don't know what this thing would do to Boomer. Oh my goodness, I want to see that on a video very soon. Another thing that really stuck out to me was the hunters. I remember having asked about hunters or something like that on a stream when Emperor Camper was still a community manager here, and he said the developers were looking forward to sprinkling the hunter faction all through the game. They didn't want an oversaturation. Well, I've argued in the past that in a Division 2 it didn't seem like they were saturated anything. Even in a Division 1 they were hard to come by. But it seems like the developers have maybe had for a long time at the back of their minds to bring the hunters to the game, or they're probably incorporating them because the demand is really high. Players have always said, we would like to see the hunters to be more than just mask sources. Because after a point I thought, I don't really wear these masks. I like to wear the, the really colorful sunglasses on my avatars, and the masks just defeat the purpose for me. So I just stopped hunting the masks because it just didn't really make a lot of sense in my opinion. So glad to see that, Drew confirmed more hunters coming down the road. I'm guessing we'll probably see them in something. I can't speculate much now. And then, there's something really cool about this specialization that I wanted to show you guys, and that's one of its talents. It's called Fiery Response, and this says on armor break, this will apply burn to enemies within 5 meters. So for those of you who want to fight against shotgun players, you might want to run a high health build and take this specialization in there with you. If somebody breaks your armor, you're going to pepper them a little bit. That does not mean they will not be able to fire, but they will be taking a lot of damage. And if you're built to actually make sure that somebody that's on fire is taking more damage, then you can use maybe what's the name of the talent that if you apply Wicked, you can use Wicked or Perfectly Wicked to be able to take them down because they're going to be taking more damage. So that's a PvP addition for that, for that sense. But in PvE, your armor breaks, and this applies, let me see, Yeah, burn to enemies within 5 meters. Say, enemies try to rush you and all of them catch in flames. They usually, go crazy and start running all over the place. And that's something that's pretty cool. In the Division 1, when you're in flames, you couldn't fire your weapon. In Division 2, you can. That is a slight change that's slightly helpful, but honestly, I like the whole Division 1 system where you kind of felt the urgency to quench those flames, and you had to do something that made the game a little bit more fun. The exotic weapon, it's on 1650. I timestamped all of them. This is going to be the Chameleon, and the Chameleon is going to be some kind of an SMG / assault rifle. Let's go back to see what weapon type it is in the game. Come on, I need to see. Okay, it's an assault rifle. So we now have another assault rifle in the family. It does look like a Vector, has this huge silencer of some kind, and it has like an extra chamber to get you more, I think, to get you more rounds. And it does have some really cool talents. It has Adaptive Instincts, which says if you hit 30 headshots, this grants you 20% critical hit chance and 50% crit hit damage for 45 seconds. You may wonder where something like this will come in handy. The raid, those chungas, if you hit them 30 times, you'll most likely melt them. And because of the high rate of fire, this 30 rounds is not going to be anything. So some people are probably asking, how is this going to work? I mean, for real, this is not going to be something that's really a problem. Then it has, let me see. It only has 2 talents. All right. I mean, to be honest, while holster 5% weapon handling, I think that Adaptive Instinct is already good on its own. When I watched Mr. Jetfort's video, he mentioned that, and I was thinking to myself, well, where would you want to use this? And he mentioned PvE, but I was like, well, I think in the raid it makes a whole lot of sense. Some of these chungas, the heavies, chungas is the nickname they call them in the game. They usually take a lot of bullets to take them down. Now, they don't really need that many rounds if you're built and spec'd well, or if you have somebody running aces in your in your group. But if you take them down, that 45 did I say for 45 seconds? I'm sorry. For 45 seconds, if you land 30 headshots, if you do 60 body shots, you get 100% weapon damage for 45 seconds. So this particular damage bonus is actually dynamic. So headshots, body shots, and leg shots do have their their buffs that you can actually get, but all the buffs last for 45 seconds. I don't think they'll be able to stack. They'll probably reset, or they'll probably stick with you for the 45 seconds all through the time you have that buff. I think that's the way they can keep the weapon balanced. So it's definitely a PvE weapon, something that you can use to knock out perhaps maybe the dark zone if you're doing PvE farming and stuff. So if people may say it has 2 talents, in reality, I think it has more like 4 talents, because all these are specific. If you think about the bleed, there's a talent that if you hit somebody in the knees or in the legs, it's called kneecapping. That's a talent by itself. But this is like an advanced kneecapping that actually does a very good deal. Something like bread basket is another body shot type skill on talent on weapons, and this is also an enhancement of it. And then this is also kind of a perfect concussion type deal if you want to go that route. Say headshots is giving you a bonus, body shots giving you a bonus. So it's literally an addition of 3 different talents and then overlap. So you can't say this just has 2 talents. This has enhanced versions of 3 of the talents that are currently in the game. And so that's definitely where it needs to be. In fact, the overlap is just the holster talent so that you can have it, but I like how it's kind of weak. So you have to really want to use it in order for you to equip a weapon like this. So looking forward to farming this bad boy. I mean, there's no doubt that this is going to be something that needs to be in your arsenal. So day 1, join Discord servers. You can join the Gamey Daddy Discord server. You must be 18, by the way, at least, in order to join the server, because this game's not for kids. And, people are going to be there to run missions with you and run multiple missions for farming. Hopefully, you're able to get somebody who's maybe gotten it before you, and they'll be happy to give you one or whatever it is. On my list, again, I'm looking more at the narrative for the next state of the game. For those of you who know, I'm a story kind of guy. Shameless plug, I wrote a book. Check it out on Amazon. Link should be in the description below. It's a fiction book. It's the first in the series, and so I really enjoy narratives because it's kind of like up my alley. I like the way stories actually progress. If they progress well, if they have good suspense, they keep me engaged, because I want to try to guess, and I want to try to see things from the writer's perspective and see where their strengths are. So Drew mentioned that next state of the game is going to have a lot of narrative stuff to catch people up on the game from the Division 1 all through here, so that we can, people can see why episode 3 is important. And I think for a portion of the community, that's probably going to make a lot of sense. Some people don't really know what the history is in terms of why we even played the Division, what we're doing in DC. Some people picked up the Division 2 as their first Division game, and so it would be nice for them to do a narrative, run through, because many have asked, do we need to go play the Division 1 in order to catch up? And I say, sure, if it's not too expensive, and I'm looking at the $5-10 range, if that's how much you're probably going to be paying for everything with DLC. So because it's an old game already, so I wouldn't advise you to pay anything more, because you're still going to have to spend time in playing the game and advancing. People will be playing with you, but I guarantee you a lot of people are going to be playing this game, the Coney Island, right now, trying to get this weapon. So you might just buy it and shelve it if it's cheap, and if not, wait for a sale. Every sale you get is going to get cheaper anyways. So these are the highlights of the state of the game that are really interesting to me. I think these things are definitely going to appeal to people as well. I mean, it's crazy how we're getting a shield specialization. A lot of people have also been looking for it. I know some other content creators in the community have tried to do a lot of Captain America builds. I think Chameleon was trying to do something like that, so he might be able to knock himself out before we get gear 2.0, because the so-called Captain America builds were relying on the shields, and I'm sure many people will get more of a buff because of this new specialization. Shotgunners might be able to find some kind of I would say temporary counter for now before the gear changes are made, so that the high armor builds don't continue to dominate the dark zone. I don't play, but I heard that that's what's going on there. I don't play the PvP. And then the new exotic weapon, definitely something for everybody to be farming towards getting, and then narrative for the next state of the game. So put all of this together, I think the Division is coming in a stronger light than it has actually been in the past few months. And I really wish, I really wish we had gotten a lot of this stuff up front, so that we can move up to by now we should have been talking about year 2, which I think was the developer's intention, to highlight the best possible aspects of the game, because it seems like year 2 is going to have more of a bigger narrative focus. Drew mentioned something in this state of the game, by the way. He said this episode 3 is going to be very important in helping us understand that the game is actually going in a specific direction right now. Because to be very honest, for those of you who play Division 2 for the first time, you have to understand that Division 1 story was so set up very well that DC was just a side deviation from everything to go look for what's, civilization. But if you listen to the end of Falcon Lost in the Division 1, Fei Lao says, I have to figure out what happens to the President of the United States. That's where all of Division 2 builds off of. And so in going to figure out what happened to the President of the United States, I think is our main mission for the Division 2, and figuring out what's going on in DC and the whole power struggle and the new so-called replacement by underground factions that are, within the government that have turned. And now our biggest, problem is, how are they getting their power? Where's their influence coming from? Apparently, they're controlling the entire leadership in the game. And then we also have Aaron Keener out there. Could he be the mastermind of all this stuff? Since he went rogue, we haven't gotten him. Where is he? Is he still in New York? Did he come to DC? Was he working with the Black Tusk? Is he like just truly a rogue agent that is out of hand? So there's so many questions about the lore that has not been answered. And I think this is where the lore is going to be taking us very soon. All the other stuff is kind of side, content, but I think the meat and potatoes of the story, is what we will enjoy and benefit from playing more than anything. If you guys understand what I mean, we need to engage in more faction wars. We need to engage in more, like the raid only centered around the Black Tusk. We don't have a raid for the other factions. So the other factions just feel slightly out of place, in my opinion. Nonetheless, they just, I don't know why they're there. In the Division 1, I think it was only the Rikers that, I said the Rikers, it was only the Rioters that didn't have an incursion. Every other faction had their incursion. They had, you know, huge strongholds that had a story piece that tied into the entire game. So these are pretty much my thoughts. These are pretty much some of the things that I'm excited for, and I know the community is looking forward to. So that's pretty much what I'm going to say for this video. I'll be bringing some more, you know, talking points. Talking points just sounds terrible. And whatever, you know, but, you know, things that we're discussing in the community. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. What are you excited for? What are you looking forward to? I mean, is this appealing to you? I know it is to me. I mean, we've been waiting for content, so we might as well play what's in front of us. And then once the content's out, we'll start the discussion for the next episode, for the next batch of content. So let me hear what you think. Like, subscribe, do your thing, and I guess I'll see you in my next video. Peace.